All right, today we are going to be working on multiplying and dividing rational numbers, or aka multiplying and dividing fractions. There's a real simple rule, and I put it up here. Multiply or divide. Ignore the signs at first and multiply or divide. The second rule is if both signs are the same, the answer is positive. So if you have, and that's what they talk about down here, that positive times a positive gives you a positive sign. Negative times a negative gives you a negative sign. Then they change that rule. They say if you have different signs, like positive times a negative, your answer is negative. And they say if you have a negative times a positive, your answer is negative. So be aware that same signs positive, different signs negative. So when we multiply, because it's been a moment since we multiplied fractions, let's remind ourselves that all we do is we multiply straight across on the top and then straight across on the bottom. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 2 is 8. And both my signs are positive, so that's a positive 8. Let's go to number 3. So let's start with our signs first. Both my signs are negative, so I'm going to keep a negative sign. My sign becomes positive because both sides are negative. Next, I multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9, and then I multiply straight across on the bottom. 8 times 4 is 32. Now, I put a positive sign there so you can see it, but when we write our answers, if it's positive, we just assume it, so it's extra. You don't always need it. That helps to have it, keep it, but it's not necessary. All right, so let's take a look at number 7. Number 7, they have a whole number times a fraction. Well, that doesn't work in the world of math. So we need to change this into a fraction. Whole numbers are easy to change into fractions because we just put them over 1. Now I can multiply straight across. So I have 5 times 7, and that gives me 35. And then 1 times 10 gives me 10. Now we got to look at, is this positive or negative? And so I have one negative sign and I have no sign, which means that's a positive. I have different signs. So different signs tells me I have a negative number. Now this is totally awesome, but it's not in lowest form. So I know that 10 goes into 35 3 times. So I have 3 wholes and I have 5 left over. I also know that's not in simplest form, so I have to reduce that first. So I'm going to reduce, I keep my whole number, and it's still negative, so I have negative 3, and 5/10 reduces down to 1/2. I'm going to show you another way that we could have done that. So we're going to start all right there, and I'm going to use orange. You can reduce your fractions beforehand. So I know that 5 goes into 10 really easily. I know that 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into 10 2 times. So now when I multiply straight across, I get 7 over 2. And it's still negative because the sign is negative. Now I divide that out. 2 goes into 7 3 times, still my negative number, with 1 left over. So, and I want you to notice that we get the same answer. And it doesn't matter if you do it the orange way or the blue way, you'll get the same answer. Let's try number 13. Number 13 gives us a giant mess. So now we got to change this mixed number into an improper fraction because that's the easiest way to multiply. So first I multiply and then I add. And I'm going to write our new fraction down here. We keep the sign, so it's negative, and 2. Okay. We're going to keep the bottom number, which is 2, and 4 times 2 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. Now I'm going to multiply that. Keep my sign, I'm just bringing that down. And remember, multiply and then add. So my bottom number is going to be 3. My denominator is 3. I keep my negative sign. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Okay, at this point you can choose to reduce or you can choose to multiply and then reduce. So I'm going to multiply first and I'm going to put that answer up here. So that way we can see it. So 9 times 10 is 90. And 2 times 3, going straight across, is 6. I have two negative numbers, so it's positive. Now I have to reduce this. So I know that 6 goes into 90 over 10 times. It goes in there 15 times and with nothing left over. So that is done. Now let's go to the orange and let's show you how I could reduce this. First, I know that 3 goes into 9. So that 3 goes into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. Well, that was easy. I also know that 2 can go into 10 evenly. And remember, when we're reducing, we're doing top versus bottom. And so 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So now when I multiply straight across, I get 15 over 1, which gives me 15. So again, either way will work for you to use, but just go ahead and try it. You will have problems 1 through 15 to do on this page. The next page is a little bit different. We're dividing. So we're going to follow the same rules. Hold on, let me set that up for you. We're going to follow the same rules of multiply or divide. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. But to remind you about dividing fractions, we're going to keep the first fraction, change the sign to division, flip the second fraction, and then multiply. Let's take a look at it down here. So I keep this one. This stays as 1/4. I change that, so keep, change, flip. I change this to multiplication, and then I flip this fraction to 2 over 1. So when I multiply, now I multiply straight across, and I get 2 over 4. And it says simplify when possible. And I know that 2/4 equals 1/2. So let's try that again for number 10. Number 10, change it to a fraction. And I'm going to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep negative 10 over 1, change that to a multiplication sign, and flip this to 2 over 1. Sweet. I know when I multiply straight across, I'm going to get 20 over 1. Multiply straight across. Now I keep my negative sign, and this one's positive because it's hidden. So different signs give me negative. When I reduce this, I get negative 20. One more example. Let's do number 13. I have to put this into an improper fraction first. I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to add, and then I'm going to keep, change, flip. And we're going to put this over 1, so you know what to do. So Here we go. Multiply and then add. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. And that goes over 3. I'm going to change this to multiplication, and then I'm going to flip this. And so it's going to be negative 1/15. Now I can multiply straight across, and I'm going to get negative 10, and then I'm going to multiply straight across over negative 45. Now I can reduce this because I know both the top and the bottom can be divided by 5. So I keep my sign, I bring that over with me, negative 2/9. So that is my answer, negative 2/9. I want you to try all of the problems on both pages. It shouldn't be too many, but you're going to need the practice. So that way this becomes fast for you. Come see me during office hours if you need help.